Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
All right, welcome back into Sikkim 365 Radio. Time for Off the Radar, a look at some stories that we otherwise would not touch on in our conversation, mostly focusing around college football, expansion, and the like. We will stick in the college world to at least start off, though. This was a kind of a shockwave story to a slight extent yesterday when it came out, but the University of Louisville, they're going to have at least one barrier when it comes to name, image, and likeness. They sent out a letter to student-athletes yesterday saying, "We are advising all student-athletes to cease involvement with Barstool Sports in terms of NIL activity." Barstool had gone around almost like on a willy-nilly campaign of just signing athletes up from like a variety of sports. You remember that when the doors first opened for NIL and everybody was a Barstool athlete like in the first 48 hours. But Louisville says Barstool Sports does not comply with University of Louisville policies, does not comply with the criteria outlined in the Kentucky governor's executive order, and then it relays some email addresses for those who may have questions. But we've not really heard much about NIL deals getting struck down. And then again, why would we? Because I don't think the company probably wants that out there if they're not getting, the college to agree to work with them or the student athlete to agree to work with them. But what do y'all think about Louisville just outright saying like, hey, no Barstool Sports?
There was a concern from the beginning about the connection to gambling. I think they kind of maybe clarified that. But there's a reason. You'd rather be safe than sorry, right? Maybe at some point, Portnoy and Barstool and whoever, that they figure this out and they kind of help separate themselves or they do something on the side. But that was one of the things from the beginning of NIL, even before it became official, that always made me nervous about any connections, because we know what gambling in college sports, people, billions. But the concern is with the college athlete, the collegiate athlete in gambling.
Yeah, they got to separate it more. Like, I know they made like a move, like a corporate restructuring move to like separate it off, but I think they're probably going to have to do more than that. Whatever it is, to make sure that there's no accidental touching of gambling.
Right. Well, that's interesting. And, obviously Barstool's, I'm sure, got their words for Louisville and whatnot. But that's just a new little event that has occurred in this whole name, image, likeness era that we're now living in. And sticking on that topic for a moment, this is a bit old, but DEeriq King, man, he is really just killing it with these name, image, and likeness deals. He already had a big payday as far as earlier last month when all of these deals were made possible. But he's actually become the first college athlete to partner up with a pro sports franchise. He's teaming up with the Florida Panthers. So he's going to be doing some stuff with the Florida Panthers hockey organization. And he seems to be a guy that was, already sitting there with plans made almost. Like, he really has thought this out. He's at the forefront, I think. And obviously Thibodeau at Oregon is getting a lot of opportunities. But DEeriq King, it just feel like every other day I look up and he's involved in some new NIL deal.
And if Miami is really good this year, that's going to be great for him, because then he'll be set. No matter what happens in his professional life, if you're a big-time University of Miami quarterback, then you're set for life. And he's setting himself to do that. And if you're the Florida Panthers, why not have DEeriq King? Like, try to get people in the seats. Hockey is popular in Florida.
It is.
The two-time defending Stanley Cup champ is up the road in Tampa. So Miami's problem, though, is, while it's a pro sports town, it's not a very well-attended sports town, pro or college, because there is a lot of competition for your entertainment dollar. And, a lot
I've been on South Beach. Last thing on my mind is hockey.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just all those things that go on. So, if you can get some sports fans, streamlined into there, I think that's a great move.
Yep, so that was announced a couple days ago. He's going to be working with the club to develop a merchandise collection, co-branded art, and his own exclusive concession menu item available at the BB&T Center. He'll also make appearances at some of their games and events and engage with fans on social media. He'll also produce digital content. So DEeriq King, a very busy young man, and partnered up with the Florida Panthers. We were talking to Mac Rhodes a moment ago about vaccination rates. Well, yesterday, Lane Kiffin told ESPN his Ole Miss team has reached a 100% vaccination rate among coaches, players, staff members, and everybody involved with the program. So that's not so much like a big story to have big opinions on that per se, but that's good to hear. It's good to see that, and that's one less thing for Ole Miss to have to worry about now, but we know that it's going to be a struggle for everybody to get to that 100%, but Ole Miss has apparently reached that. All right, amongst your favorites in sports media, where would you rank Holly Rowe?
She's one of my favorites, personally. She's really good at her job. She's a great human being. Everybody likes Holly Rowe. And let's not talk about my last interaction with Holly Rowe.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So we're at a Baylor basketball game.
No. Go ahead.
We're at a Baylor basketball game, and Holly Rowe had beaten cancer. Of course, it's hard to say you've ever beaten cancer because we know it's the most evil thing ever. But so they were having a moment where all the Baylor fans had these, what would they call, Paul?
Stand up to cancer signs.
Yeah, stand up to cancer. And Paul was in the background of this cutaway to Holly Rowe at courtside underneath one of the baskets. And what were you doing?
Directly behind Holly Rowe.
And?
So they came
what were you doing?
They gave me a sign that said, I stand up for Holly. And so I flipped it over because she was right there. So she wouldn't see it because it was supposed to be a surprise for her. And then when I picked it up, it was upside down.
It was upside down. Of everybody, all 9,948 people that were in that on TV, and Paul Catalina was the Grinch that stole the moment.
Yeah,
I think she's incredible. She seems to be about as legitimate as you could possibly be.
Yep.
She does her homework. She does a great job.
Yep, and she will now be the main sideline reporter on ABC Saturday Night Football. Obviously, Maria Taylor taken off to NBC, but Holly Rowe will be joining Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. It's her 26th season covering college football for the ESPN ABC property. She'll start, obviously, in August. And it's a part of her already existing contract. But, yeah, you're going to see Holly Rowe teamed up with Fowler and Herbstreit on Saturday nights. Also, wanted to mention that another NIL story that I almost forgot about. There has been a lot of talk about South Lake Carroll and the whole Quinn Ewers leaving early for, NIL deals and things like that. And also, I'm sure to compete and get on the starting track there for the Buckeyes sooner rather than later. But did you guys see his first NIL deal that he announced yesterday?
It was with Kombucha.
Holy Kombucha had the full 3-tweet long statement that they emailed him 5 minutes before and told him to post for $500 or whatever, because that's how it works. But he said, I may be leaving Texas soon to take it to the next level, but I made sure to take the best Texas drink company with me, and I am pumped to be representing Holy Beverages for many years ahead. He's got it in his fridge. The stuff they typed out for him. He said all that.
Well, wait a minute. He might actually have a whole...
No, I don't think so. It was very much a statement from the company, because I know how those work too. Like Instagram posters, the company sends them an email, copy and paste this, and the really lazy ones directly copy and paste it and don't insert their name or identifying, and so you can just tell that they copy and pasted it off the email. But hey, it didn't take him long to get his first deal. He's got a kombucha sponsorship, and he hasn't even, I don't think, arrived in Columbus, Ohio yet. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out for him in the long run.
Good for him, and I hope it works out for Holy Kombucha.
Yeah.
I hope it works out for them.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it, and
crazy world we're living in now. You got a high school senior leaving early to go move to Ohio State, and before he even lands in Ohio, he's got a kombucha sponsorship.
I want to tell you this.
He's leaving early to sell kombucha, which again is something I can't even wrap my head around.
That's really what it is.
I had something shared with me from somebody that's very close to the South Lake Carroll program that I don't know if it was the Texas High School Coaches Association or who sent out a memo about this Quinn Ewers stuff. And Ohio State, there's something called straight line recruiting. You guys know what that is?
Yep.
You got to be in connection with the coach, the college coach, in connection with the high school coach. And there was concern that was not the case. I'm not saying that's not what Day. I'm not trying to say Ryan Day didn't do this. I don't know the story. But there was a concern that might have been missing here. Straight up, eyeball to eyeball or phone to phone, ear to ear, whatever, with the high school head coach, who, of course, is Dodge, Riley Dodge. And there was actually a memo sent out to high schools all around the state of Texas about this. Make sure you don't let straight line recruiting get loose in our state. I don't know if that's true or not, but there was enough people there that was disturbed about it.
Yep, so just interesting to see that. And, Kombucha, I don't know what their investment is, but they obviously think he's going to be a big-time player. And hadn't even barely graduated or is going to graduate soon and already has a Kombucha deal. So that's pretty crazy. And final couple of notes. This one should have been very on the radar, but it's just a matter of us, having a lot of other things to talk about. Luka Doncic, no surprise that he's going to remain a Maverick for the foreseeable future, but he did finally get his deal done. Massive deal for Luka Doncic. $207 million extension for the young Slovenian, 5-year deal. So as a Mavericks fan, very excited to just see him put pen to paper and make it official. Now they need to add some pieces around him, but he is locked down now for the next 5-year contract extension. So good to see, and obviously big money for a big-time player.
But they still didn't land a premium free agent. They got some that are going to help them. But it just seemed like it's like, why not? I don't know why not. I don't know. They just haven't been able to land that premier guy. And
it's legitimately been a conversation on Dallas Sports Radio for about 15 years now. Is Dallas and free agency, and
they're
why?
not a destination point for any kind of basketball, and like it is in Miami or maybe even
and they're not from
in LA or New York. No, and they're not in baseball. Even when they were World Series contenders and almost won it twice, but. In the NFL, they're absolutely a destination location.
Yeah, but the Cowboys don't bring in a lot of free agents.
But they also haven't. Lately, if they wanted to, though, if they wanted to go out and get somebody, they usually get them.
If the salary cap ended tomorrow, believe me, that would be the free agent destination.
Speaking of NFL, final note for you: NFL putting out their annual rules changes and whatnot, and apparently there's going to be a targeted crackdown on taunting this year.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
It's a waste of time.
Officials have been instructed to strictly enforce taunting rules in 2021. 2 violations result in automatic ejection with fines and even suspensions in play.
It's another penalty that is
completely subjective.
Subjective. There's it's dumb. Like pass interference is hard enough. Now you want to put them in a position about taunting. They finally have allowed them to celebrate the last year or 2 or 3. The taunting, there are certain times when it can go way overboard. I can see where it may start a disturbance or any kind of a brouhaha. But, we need to have
some rules, or else Jalen Ramsey would be in a fight every single week.
Every NBA dunk would be a technical foul.
Yeah, so a lot of no-fun league, and that's why that's trending, is because of this rule. They're saying they're going to target down, or they're going to crack down, I should say, on targeting. So there's some NIL stuff, some NFL stuff. Lucas re-signs with the Mavs to a max deal for 5 years, and those are a few stories off the radar.
All right, one note that I have to pass on.